It's just sometimes, I see they make use of certain principles. For example, they where they take into account certain delays, and they know how that is going to impact your behavior. They use noise for the unpredictability to make sure your dopamine. Well, let's just say dopamine now. Your reward response does not habituate to the exact timing. It's similar to how, in some ways, slot machines are designed.
Yeah, and video games, like these never-ending video games are, of course, also building on this this tendency to seek and to persist, seeking and seeking reward, and they also, but I think video games are another really interesting example where
they are very interesting.
Trigger nuance, because the best video games are those that maximize our sense of progress. They don't necessarily maximize our sensitivity to reward, or they don't maximize, because if we're not just driven by maximizing reward, right? If we were driven by maximizing reward, we would be most motivated by the tasks that are easiest, because we get reward all the time. But we're not. We get really bored if we respond, at the lowest level of the video game.
Yeah.
It's not interesting to get a reward and get points when we can do it. We're most motivated when we make progress, when we change our ability, and I think that's a really interesting sort of domain, actually. And curiosity itself is also a function of that progress, learning progress. And in that sense,
and you have to allow for the curiosity as well, right? It's because if you have too much cognitive control, there is no curiosity. Or am I mixing two things up?
Focus, yes. Yeah. I don't know yet. I don't know. I think curiosity requires kind of a dynamic balance between focus and flexibility. But maybe that's an orthogonal issue, an independent issue. So, but I guess you're right that, for example, these video games are hijacking the motivational system in quite an adaptive way.
That is yes, and that I find. I mean, I really like video games, but I have stayed away from them on purpose, because I know as soon as I start, I will have a very hard time to stop. And the PhD didn't finish itself, and that's why I didn't install any of them on my computer, because they are so good. They are so good.
Yeah.
And by now, with the expansion and the development of technology is insane. And also when it comes to the game industry, it's expanding to an insane degree.
Yeah.
And I think but you're right. I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing, because we do hear a lot from using those principles from game design into other ways of maybe making learning and education more attractive. And then you have like these serious games that are being investigated now, also by universities looking into this. Like, hey, can we make use of this? So it's not all bad.
No, definitely not. No.
Yeah.
So what we learn about cognitive control and motivation and the dopamine system, I think, can certainly be used both in the clinic, in psychiatry, maybe on the longer term, but also in AI and the game industry. And but in all cases, we have to be a bit aware of the public values, I guess, to say it in the general sort of the ethics of it.
Yes.